And we're back, baby. We're going off of caffeine and vinegar. I don't think that's a saying, but that's not a saying, right? But we're back nonetheless. Another episode of Sean and Spin in the Morning. Last week in the evenings, but we're back doing it. Presented by Off Base Media, our Wednesday, May 14th edition of the program. How we doing, everybody out there? How we doing, Sean?
I'm feeling good, Spin. It's a rainy one on the East Coast here, but we're getting by. Some good baseball happened. A lot of late inning action. We're gonna get into a little recap segment here. Everybody's favorite recap segment with Hard 90s. Spin's going off the cuff today. Off the cuff, no script, nothing. Barely knowing what's going on, but he's gonna get into it.
Yeah, this is a very interesting Hard 90s. But guess what? Sometimes that's what makes them good, I guess.
That's what the greats do.
Yeah, you just don't know what the fuck is going on. You're just gotta let it rip. So everyone's favorite recap segment, Hard 90s, recapping yesterday's things today in 90 seconds, and the time starts now. We'll start with Milwaukee and Cleveland. Cleveland shutout 2-0. Logan Allen, little win there. Boston and Detroit. Detroit wins. Javi Baez walk-off, 10-9 Boston. White Sox, Cincy. White Sox won in extras also, 5-1. Cincy did enough to bail out Abbott of a loss, but then White Sox took it. Tampa Bay at Toronto, 11-9. Tampa Bay, another pretty close one. Tampa Bay prevailed there. I think we had that happening. We had like all this shit, by the way. Pittsburgh at the Mets. Mets win 2-1. Pirates get swept. I'm fucked. That was my golden take. Washington at Atlanta. Atlanta wins 5-2. Let's go Atlanta. We love to see it. They won 2 in a row now. Miami at Chicago. Chicago, another walk-off hero. 5-4 over Miami. That was Justin Turner with the ribby walk-off. Colorado at Texas. Texas 4-1. Let's go. Jack Leiter gets his first win off the IL. KC at Houston. Another walk-off. Isaac Paredes with a walk-off solo bomb. Houston takes it 2-1. Pitching duel. Wasn't the only pitching duel. We'll get to the Yanks in a sec. But first, let's go LA and San Diego. San Diego 6-4 over the Angels. Tatis walk-off. How about that? Another walk-off. I just mentioned Yankees at Seattle 2-1. Seattle. JP Crawford walk-off there in the 11th. That kind of stunk for me. AZ, I live tweeted that, by the way. AZ at San Fran. San Fran takes it 10-6, but Pfaff didn't have his best stuff. He takes a loss. Robbie Ray, your buddy, gets a win. A's at the Dodgers. A's won big. Jeffrey Springs looked great. Knack did not have it. Knack did not have a knack for this game. They lost 11-1. Stop me.
There it is. I think is that the first one? No, that's the second one.
We had a good one last time.
Yeah.
And that was fucking off. And then, of course, 2 games. That was really just off my freaking cuff right there. But locked and loaded. Minnesota at Baltimore, PPD. St. Louis at Philly, PPD. Both those games happened already today. And we had
Philly took the first.
Philly took it and Minnesota took it. We had both those things happening. I'm so out of my fucking rocker right now. I didn't even put the damn banner up. That was Hard 90s. Everyone knew it. So let's cruise into our vibe check then. With that being said, Sean, because we are kicking ass this early in the week and for our takes, you are kicking major ass. You are 11 for 15 from your picks today. That's like 70 fucking something %.
We like that. And I mean, it's not a baseball show unless you get at least some of them right. We got to have some sort of credit spin. So 11 for 15 is good. Some shocking things. Like I definitely didn't predict some of these games being so close. I thought we had a lot of lackluster, honestly, series this week. But like we knew the Mariners Yankees was going to be good. Obviously, it's not the outcome that you wanted, a pitching duel over there. But J.P. Crawford, who I've honestly given some slack, not slack, some shit this year, because I'm like, this guy can't hit. Like, he's just not. But he's smashing the ball, and he plays some insanely good defense. Being a big part of the reason the Mariners are winning. They just broke what, a 4-game losing streak?
I guess they did. They
Yeah,
would have,
4-game
yeah.
losing streak.
At least, right?
Good,
At least
because the A's came out, made a fucking statement last night, 11-1. Big boy, the milkman, Nick Kurtz, absolutely kid from Lancaster, first home run of the year. Jacob Wilson, also first multi-home run game of the year.
Whoa.
Dude, Jacob Wilson is going to be an all-star within his career, in my eyes. Like, this guy is unbelievable, and he's like, people have compared him to Luis Arias, and I don't agree, because he's good on, like, I think he's better. He hits for the same kind of contact that Luis Arias. He's got a little power to him, not so much on the speed, but like plays a good defense as well. And I see this guy wearing an all-star jersey from maybe like in the next coming years as well. We're a big fan of the A's. We love what the A's are doing over there, man.
Yeah, I love when the Yankees came in and said, fuck the A's at their place. But now the A's are coming back after a tough schedule, back-to-back first-place teams, right? Yankees and now Dodgers.
Yeah.
But they shit on the Dodgers. Really quick on some of these A's guys, to your point on Jacob Wilson, I think he could be an all-star this year. I don't know what shortstop is better in the A. I'm not saying he starts, but there's a good chance he does. One, you have to look at what shortstops are in the AL. Okay, it's Bobby Witt. Sorry. I didn't want to disrespect the Witt man. But other than that, I mean, I do think it's Witt. And then right now, I mean, Seager's banged up and Gunner's not. Maybe he's picking it up a little bit, but it's not what Jacob Wilson's doing. And it's like, other than that, maybe J.P. Crawford had a good week or so, got his average back up. But I don't know off the top of my head another guy. It's Jacob Wilson. And people now, the fan votes are just for the starters, so I don't know. But there's guys in fucking Oakland, wherever they are. There's guys in West Sacramento that are going to get love for fan votes because people want to vote for the A's and see these guys. They like to see Soderstrom having a good start to his year. They love to see Jacob Wilson have a good start to his career. So I think they're going to get some love. Maybe not start over Witt, but I think he could be one this year because you need a backup shortstop, and who else is going to be that guy?
Yeah, Gunner might get in on his name alone, and he isn't having that bad of the year, even though the Orioles stink. But like, he's still having a decent year. He's probably hitting around like 250. I think the home runs have kind of fell off a little bit, but hey, it's Gunnar Henderson. You know what I mean? So like, he might get it. But I think you make a good point there. But like, talking about some more, like if we're going to all stars, like some of these walk-offs with Fernando Tatis, obviously one of the best players in the league, has his first walk-off home run last night as well. Justin Turner used to be I want to say he's made an all-star team before, right? Justin Turner?
You would assume, right?
Yeah, he's had to, but helping out his Cubbies over there, getting a walk-off as well. We talked about J.P. Crawford already, but kind of something I want to pose to you right now is the late inning, because we've seen a lot of late inning heroics lately, man. I mean, I feel like we're seeing multiple, if not like a lot every week. Is it because the bullpens are so bad, or is it because the hitters have just become that good and like that clutch?
Yeah, it's a good question because we always shit on the bullpen. And at a certain point, we should tip our hat to offenses being able to make these late inning comebacks. I think part of it is the bullpens. I don't trust bullpens.
Yeah.
That's the theme of our program. I don't trust pens like that. But I think part of it is also now these hitters, and there were some extra inning games yesterday where the walk-offs are especially late inning games where these guys are now getting their fourth, maybe fifth at-bats of the game. So a guy like Tatis who hit a walk-off. I mean, either way, it's a professional. These are professional hitters. But Tatis, Justin Turner's as professional as they come. Javi Baez, what he's doing. Like, these are notable dudes. Isaac Paredes hit a walk-off bomb. Notable. JP's been hot. Notable. So those are the 5 walk-offs from yesterday. And it's like you're going to give them an extra at-bat. Guys who are hot, guys who are, I mean, again, everyone's a good hitter in the major leagues, but some of these guys are as professional as they come. And then you're going to give them a 5th at-bat of the game. Like, you kind of think advantage hitter when you have, like, you cruise into your 4th or 5th at-bat now. And it's like, now they've seen things, they've seen things all game. Now maybe they're locked in. So I think it's a little bit of that. And it's also, I don't trust pens. So I think it's a little mixture.
Also something I want to touch on, because I kind of brushed over it earlier. Like, so the A's kicked the shit out of the Dodgers. And we touched on this. We always talk about how the Rangers injuries are like substantial. There seems like they're throwing a new person on the IL every week. But like, what about the Dodgers, man? I'm pretty sure the Dodgers, hold on, they just threw somebody else on the IL again. Let me find it real quick. I'm sorry. I should have this up already, but
After Teoscar.
yeah, somebody just went on.
That I did not see.
Well, the DFA Barnes. Damn, I can't find it. Oh, Sasaki. Sasaki went to the
Oh,
IL.
Sasaki, I did see that. Sure,
So
yeah.
we're at the point where the Dodgers are deep. They're deep, but these deep guys are not as good as their starters they want out there every day. This injury, I mean, it's gonna plague them eventually, and that's why, like, I mean, this Padres team is rolling. They're rolling. They look good. They're fun to watch. They're playing good baseball. We're gonna get into this later when we talk about the best teams in each division. That's gonna be later in the program. But like, what I kind of want to pose to you now is the injury bug going to kind of bite the Dodgers in the ass, or what are you thinking?
I'm thinking no, but it's interesting because of the division, right? I mean, it's going to be a good race in that division, and there's teams that have made it more exciting than I at least thought. But you like to believe that they are so deep that they can stay afloat. I think when some guys get hurt, there's guys on the way back as well. I think Tommy Edmonds set to return maybe next week or something along those lines. We'll see when Teo returns. Maybe some guys, Sasaki goes down. We'll see how, I don't know Snell and Glasnow's deal when they're supposed to be back. But Snell went down early, so you like to think that maybe he's trending back soon. Don't know those fucking deals, so don't quote me on that. But, yeah, you like to think like they put themselves in a position that, listen, you injuries are going to happen. I think we talked about this before. I think the name of the game a little bit is accepting the fact that injuries are going to happen, but putting yourself in a position that you're deep enough to stay afloat when the injuries do happen. And I think the Dodgers did a great job putting themselves in that position. So I think that they can stay afloat, still be the team to beat they're world champions and they'd run that division for how long. So they're always going to be the team to beat. But even especially this year, because they are in first place and there's 3 teams on their tail in that division alone. So I think they did a good job, even though these teams do want to bite you and maybe use this as a way to take advantage of you a little bit. But yeah, they did such a great job of putting themselves in a position to stay afloat, even with these injuries, because of how deep they got.
It is. I do agree with you in that sense, but I will say this: the only reason I think it's going to hurt them is because of how good that division is. Like, I think maybe if they keep on the same trend, which, listen, I don't think they will. I feel like they've thrown somebody on the IL every single week, and I don't think it's going to be that way for the next coming months. Probably not. It's just a fluke right now. But if it does, I mean, that division's hard, man. The Padres are going to compete with them and are going to be around them the whole entire year, unless honestly something out like crazy happens. But another team who we've basically been shitting on them all year, and we almost aren't giving them enough credit. But the Atlanta Braves are 500, 21-21, and they're only 4 games back on the Phillies. They're 7-3 in their last 10. So we talked about earlier how, hey, these guys need to make their stride. They need to look good before Acuna comes back, and then have Acuna just come in, be the guy Acuna can be, and boost that team. But they're sitting at 500, and everybody's talking about them like they're the worst team in baseball. I think it shows how highly people think of the Braves, but they're playing 500 baseball right now. That's not horrible for how bad of a start this team had, you know? So you got to think about it. When Acuna just homered in his first minor league game last night, if he tends to looks good, gets back, is healthy, is playing like Acuna can, this team's going to be fucking terrifying.
Okay, so we really flipped the script on the Braves after those first 2 series wins against Nationals. That's a 4-game set, so we'll see them again today and tomorrow. Yeah, we gave them a real hard time, and I think we've both been fairly optimistic on the Braves. This is my pick to win the division early. I think we've both been optimistic on them, and then they weren't really playing well. And then I think we hit them kind of hard on last episode with after they lose the series in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And now it's like, and when we were doing our predictions, we both had them winning this series, but we were also like, they kind of have to. They're at home, and you have another under 500 Nationals team that you do have to beat on, like after you just lost against Pittsburgh. So we gave them a hard time after that Pittsburgh series. But yeah, now they are 500. They won the first 2 of a 4-game set. I think Shava, I think, pitches tomorrow or tonight. So we'll see. He's been one of their better pitchers. So you still have to get through Shava. And if he can shove, then boom, there's a series win at least. It'd be great if they sweep. But yes, 7-3 in their last 10, like you said. But we're the Phillies. The Mets are 6-4 in their last 10. So you still have the 2 teams ahead of them in that division who don't really show signs of stopping right now. But yeah, listen, I think the Braves can do it. It was only a matter of time before they can get it. If they could win today and be over 500, that's a really good sign for them. Probably the first time they've been 500 all year. Could be May 14th. So we'll see how they go. But yeah, good for the Braves. And it's nice that we flipped the script on them because we were hitting them pretty hard last time. And now they're 500 as we reconvene. And they do look good. And now Acuna, like you mentioned, yeah, things could be looking up for them.
I do think we just overreacted a bit, especially me last. I mean, I want the Braves to be bad. I'm a Phillies fan. I want them to suck. I want to see them, like, all these Braves fans up in arms, pissed off and everything. But, like, if they're sitting at 500 and they're 7-3 in their last 10, and I look at it analytically and, like, from a baseball standpoint, they have the players on their team to be good, which we have said all along. I just think we hit them pretty hard last episode because, well, rightfully so. They lost the series to the fucking Pirates. I don't think anybody's done that this year, if I'm being honest. But, like,
I don't know many teams that have.
I mean, the Braves, they're so talented. And then if Acuna comes back, we're gonna have to keep an eye out.
Yeah, let's wait till that offense gets hot. They could really be dangerous. Maybe it takes them a little while, but maybe right now is the time they wake up. And if they look, and there's a good chance that once they start looking back up, so that they're playing the caliber that they should be at, there's a good chance they don't look back, and then they just continue to roll. So we'll keep an eye out on Atlanta for sure.
And then another team in that division, the Phils, baby, breaking the St. Louis's win streak earlier today. Big win. Liberatore, is that his name? He looked really good yesterday. Sanchez, not as much. He still had a good outing, of course, but when I'm watching a lot of these Phillies pitchers, like on the stat sheets, they're great, but we know what they can be, and a lot of them are falling behind it against a lot of batters and having to work their ways back and stuff like that. So for the Phillies, I'm really looking for these, like, Jesus Luzardo. Probably pitched a gem today. I didn't get to see it, but I'm really looking for them to get out in front of these guys, man, so they can be the pitchers they are and attack. Marchand caught today, though, for the first game.
So we'll see JT tonight.
JT tonight when Nola's pitching. So we'll see what our theory kind of looks like.
And Romano gets a save in that game too, so I think he's looked better. So good thing for them.
He has since I kind of blew up and said I wanted to leave him in Canada or whatever. He's pitched pretty well. And you know what's funny? Hoffman up in Toronto, he's got like a 14 ERA in May.
He's been trending down.
It's not good, man. He's starting to, like, kind of deteriorate a little bit. Not saying that he's bad, because he looked like the best reliever for the first 2 months of baseball. Just having a rough go right now. But yeah, I mean, hopefully Romano can keep it up. I don't know if he will, but hopefully he can keep it up.
We'll see Gray against Nola then in game 2. I think Gray was set to pitch against Luzardo, but with the rain bullshit, Luzardo still had his set game, and then Gray against Nola. So we'll see, because I think the skies are gray in Philly, but let's see if they can ruin Gray's day.
Schwarber's on base streak ended at like 47 or 49.
Damn.
He's been playing some, dude. He's like, I know we talked about contracts in an earlier episode and stuff like that, but Schwarber's, if he keeps playing like he is this year, and I mean, listen, he's normally the one who heats up in June, and he's doing this in May, so we're going to find out. But, man, some team's going to have to pay him a lot of money.
Seriously. You think, I mean, this is a different conversation, but I do think he stays in Philly. I don't know what you think of that.
I don't know. I do too, but I don't, and this is going to sound kind of asinine of me, I don't want to pay him a ton of money. Like a shit ton of money. I'm willing to give him what he deserves. You know what I mean? But do not overpay. Please, for the love of God, do not overpay. Because we're already on a Turner contract till he's 40. Same thing with Bryce till he's 40. You know what I mean? And then we have Nola till he's like 38. So like we've got a lot of guys already till they're going to be wheeled out of Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, I think it's for him. It's going to come down to the years because you don't want to have another guy till he's 40. I think that's the big thing here. So you got to.
Yeah.
I think they do pay Schwarber, but give him maybe, I don't know, 3 years till he's 35 or something like that.
Yeah, I do 3 years. It scares me for the future. You know, that's what scares me. Right now, I'm fine with it, but future me and future Phillies fans are probably terrified. You know, so
If he gets another 3 years, what would that be, like 6, 7 years in Philly for him?
yeah.
He'd
Who
probably
do
be
you
known as
think
a
he
fucking
gets
Philly.
remembered as? Like in a Philly?
I think so. That's what I
Even
would
if he doesn't
even say.
resign?
Oh, if he doesn't resign, then no.
What do you
As
think?
if
What
he
do you
doesn't
think?
if he resigns, where would he go, or where do you think he'd be remembered as?
Yeah, because I've had this debate with other people because he's had notable careers with like 3 different teams. Like he's made deep playoff pushes with the Red Sox. He won a World Series with the Cubs,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's on the Phils. Was he? Did he ever stint with the Nationals at all?
He did.
Yeah. So I mean, like, dude, he's been all over the place. But like, I was thinking honestly. I mean, I thought it was going to be the Phillies that he would be remembered as, like today, like, and when it's all said and done, if he ended today.
That I would have to see how long he's been in Chicago. The fact that he won a World Series there holds a lot of weight, and that was the
Yeah.
first one in like 109 years. Some call it a curse. I call it a drought. But either way, he was part of that team that broke it, right? So, I think he gets a lot of love being a part of that team. I don't know how long he's been there though. So if he wasn't long in Boston, he was like a trade deadline guy. So he really only had a cup of coffee in Beantown, and then he had a cup of coffee, and he was in Boston shorter than he was in Washington. So like,
Really?
yeah, I think so. I think he was like a trade deadline guy. He wasn't at Boston. He was in Boston for like half a year, so that he wasn't there long enough.
I thought it was vice versa. I thought he was in Boston for longer. Oh no, you're right. It was half the year. It was half the year for both the teams.
Okay, so yeah, not enough there. If he re-signs with Philly for like another 3 years, that's what, 6 years? How long has he been there? 3, 4 years?
Oh no, never mind. You're right. He was in Washington a lot longer, and then he got traded to the Red Sox. Yeah, you're right.
This.
Sorry, hold on. All right, go ahead.
You're good. Yeah, no, yeah. This conversation is a little off the rails here, but I do think the Cubs World Series holds weight. But if the Phillies could re-sign him for a few more years, 2, 3, 4 more years, 4 seems like a lot, 2 seems like too low. So maybe 3 is good for him. Plus, he doesn't not like he plays the field or anything. So it's like, how much do you pay a DH? Well, a guy like him, you probably do pay a lot. But 3 years, I think, is respectable. And if that's the case, I think he would go down as a Philly. If not, then he's going to be. Maybe someone else gives him 3 years or something. I don't know why he would want to go anywhere else for 3 years, though. And then unless the front office doesn't want to pay him and they want to get younger. But either way, like, I think that's the best move for Philly right now is to re-sign Kyle. And then he would go down as a Philly. If not, then he goes 3 years there, 2 years here, 1 year there to finish his career. And he kind of goes down as a journeyman, but he's part of that Cubs team, which would hold weight for him.
Yeah, I can get into that. What was I just about to say? Sorry. All right, let's continue.
I was gonna say let's stick with the theme of PA guys.
Yeah.
Guys who play in the Keystone State, and it's Paul Skeens, another guy on the west side of PA, announces that he'll be a part and most likely the ace of Team USA for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. How about that?
I think that's awesome. It's cool to kind of give a face to it. Paul Skeens, I really don't see ever wanting to be the face of anything. He seems like a low-key guy, but like he's gonna be the ace. Like he's just it's kind of point blank. Like you'll probably like Max Fried is Max Fried USA or is he some European country?
No. Well, I know he's Jewish, so maybe he plays for Israel. But I mean, if he wants to play for USA,
Stubbs did that when I'm playing for Israel.
Yeah, like they had guys that did shit like that. So
yeah,
I don't know if he even wants to do it, but even still, I mean, it's who do you get better than Skeensy? Maybe you can find some guys like if Scuba wants to do it. I don't know who would be considered your ace, but it's always weird with pitchers because they're a little more hesitant to join the World Baseball Classic than position players because their arm and all that stuff.
Yeah,
isn't
they
as
really
dependent
like
on
having that
pitches.
off season off. But it's cool. Like Skeen's a horse and he's young. Do it while you're young, man. Get out there. Wear the USA across. I mean, it's every person's dream to play with that across. And I mean, we saw how cool the World Baseball Classic was with that team we had beforehand. And I think one of these days we're going to need to kind of break out who we think would be the best kind of roster in my eyes. But I would 100% have Skeens as my number one pitcher probably.
Yeah, it's great to see Skeens, and like I said, with the epidemic of pitchers and pitchers being more like pitchers getting hurt and the pitchers being more hesitant to do these things, maybe this is Skeens kind of sets the tone, and then he brings some other guys around. He's also a good right now a good young ambassador for the game. He's a good spokesperson to say, hey, like I'm doing it. Like maybe that sets the tone for a guy like a Scooble or whoever the fuck else is out there, and they say, well, I'll do it if Skeens is going to set the tone. But like you said, do it while you're young. And I know he's a kind of a low key guy, but I do think he's like a ultimate competitor for as kind of monotone or as soft spoken as he can be. He is a warrior and a competitor, so he wants to compete and he wants that atmosphere because you're not going to get a playoff atmosphere in Pittsburgh. So do something like the World Baseball Classic, and it'd be great to have that horse. And I know listening to D-Rose speak, there's going to be more and more guys that kind of come like that, maybe by like a weekly, monthly basis. More guys that they're gonna announce to who is gonna join the team. But right now it's Judge as the captain and Skeens as you would assume to be the ace.
And now you get you said, touching on the young point. Now you have like Bobby Witt, who's like, oh, he's doing it. Get me in there. Gunner probably same thing. Like get me in there. Let me play. Like we already know, like Bryce Harper wants to do it. Like he wants to play first base for Team USA. So it's going to be pretty cool. Like maybe you see PCA out in center now as well, or like on the bench or something like that. It'd be kind of cool to see like him lead the way for these young guys to come in and play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these guys like to wear USA across the chest. And I think I know Bobby Witt was part of the team last time. I don't think he started though. He was still a young guy.
Trey Turner did.
That's right. Trey did, and he was crazy there.
Yeah. I mean, as of right now, like Bobby Witt's having an unbelievable year, but Trey's hitting in the 300s right now. He still hasn't, lost his swing too. So that'd be interesting to see how they could figure everything. Like, do you take a Trey Turner who has played in the World Baseball Classic already, or do you go with the young gun, the fresh face, if you will, playing at shortstop and Bobby Witt, and then do you like throw Gunner at third, or there's like Arenado obviously is going to want to play. Like it's going to be a really cool time to see the roster that gets thrown out there for Team USA.
It will be, and there's a lot of great guys to choose from.
Yeah,
so
man.
We'll see what they do, and over the course of the season, I think we'll continue to see how D-Row and the boys go about their business in constructing that roster. Let's go to another guy. I don't know if he's ever played in the Classic, but if he did, he would have played for Team Puerto Rico. I don't remember him in the Classic.
He
ever.
did. He did. He had that. Do you remember? You don't remember that play when
Yachty
pointing, and that was like prime Javi Baez right there. The swaggiest person. It's either you loved him or you hated him because of how like cocky he was. But then like back in the day, he could back it up. And then he went on those years where he was like the worst player in baseball, man.
He was bad. He was chasing balls. Yeah, I guess he was never really the face of the Tigers team. I guess they wanted him to be that guy. They wanted to create an identity and a roster around him. Never really panned out. But now that the bright lights are shining again in Detroit, they have some young guys. He's not really the centerpiece anymore. He's kind of, dare I call him a role guy now, but maybe a utility guy is more fair.
Yeah.
But now he's in center field. Did he hit a walk? Yeah, he had a walk-off yesterday. And everything seems to be back at exciting, just like old times in Chicago.
Yeah, he's batting .319. He's got 5 home runs and 27 RBIs on the year. I mean, if you would have told me Javi Baez was going to be a crucial player at the beginning of the year, I would have told you to go fuck yourself. Like it doesn't make any sense. But I think we talked about this earlier in one of the other shows. Some guys feed off of stuff like this, and it seems like he's like feeding off of this team being young, fun. He's getting a little bit of the swagger back, and it's cool. He's moving around. being kind of that selfless player, like, hey, let me go help this team win, not, oh, it's all about me. And that's kind of cool to see. Because, dude, I loved seeing Javi Baez's downfall because I fucking hated him when he was on the Mets. Oh, I hated him because he was unbelievable when he was on the Mets. And then when he went and got that big contract, I was loving it, seeing his downfall. But hey, he's back. He's on a fun Tigers team. It's good to see. It's good for baseball.
Yeah, and I mean, while we're on the topic of Tigers and World Baseball Classic dudes, they bring over Gleyber Torres as well, who's played for Venezuela in the past. But the point is, guys, like it's such a young team, it's so crucial to have El Mago, Javi doing his thing as a veteran, having Gleyber in his first year in Detroit, bit of a veteran, been around the block, been on some deep playoff runs, was in the fucking World Series last year. So these guys have, and Javi has a ring. So these guys have experience. They've been around the block. They've been in the league for a number of years now. And to put them in a lineup in a clubhouse or just on a team with these young guys in Detroit, that's a really good way to stay afloat for a team that snuck into the playoffs last year. I thought they were going to be a third place team again, but now you have the young guys producing, veterans coming over. And they're not even, I mean, Gleyber's not even that old, but still, especially on that team, he's a veteran. And for them to come out and produce the way that they have been, El Mago's been a great story. And it's a great reason for them to stay afloat, maybe even be a first-place team by the All-Star break. I still like Kansas City, though. I still like Kansas City.
I mean, we touched on it already, but to see the resurgence of this guy at this time, it's just awesome.
It is. So good for him. However, they're first place now. I like Kansas City, but let's think about these division bests for a second. I know there was an article that they kind of talked about who the first place teams could be at this stage of the season.
Yeah, so the MLB.com kind of posted they went around to all the execs throughout the league and just asked them where they thought like specific teams would land. Basically, like they asked on the Padres, the Dodgers, and the Giants, because obviously the NL West is one of the more interesting ones. They asked where the Giants are going to finish. Second, they got 3 votes. Third, 9 votes. Fourth, 5 votes. So no first place votes for the Giants or anything like that. Of course, the Dodgers came out on top with the most first place votes. Padres only getting 1. But then the interesting one, where would the Orioles finish in the AL East? Third got 7 votes. Fourth got 5 votes. Fifth got 4 votes. And second got 1 vote. So there's still a exec out there who thinks, the Orioles are going to make this huge leap. I don't see it. I guess we can start with.
What are these execs? Like they're associated with teams?
Yeah, basically. And
I'm assuming Orioles fucking exec then.
Exactly. I'm gonna ask you in the AL East, who's the team that comes out on top?
It's the Yankees. It's still the Yankees. I had them at the beginning of the year. I know people didn't like the Yankees after losing Soto, and then there was question marks of how Goldschmidt's going to be on this stage of his career. How's Bellinger going to be? He's been a question mark for a little bit now. And then how's that pitching staff? Well, maybe there was no question marks on the pitching staff, but especially when Cole got hurt, then there was. Yeah, it was interesting to see there was still a hole at third base. And now, oh my gosh, how about Oswaldo Cabrera's injury for them?
Yeah.
That was disgusting. So there's that, and now there's still a hole there. How's the Martian going to be? So there was always those question marks for the Yankees, but I still like them then, and now they've come out this year. And there was probably question marks with Judge. How was he going to hit in that lineup without Soto? Like all that bullshit, And obviously, Judge is the best player in the world right now. Goldschmidt has answered any questions. Ben Rice has stepped up greatly. Grisham has stepped up greatly. Fried's probably the best pitcher on the planet right now, you could argue. And they've anything with that bullpen and Devin Williams, they can answer because they do have arms, especially Weaver. Maybe there's some shaky stuff in every bullpen, but at least Weaver is a guy that you can rely on. So I still think it's the Yankees. I still think they're very well put together. I would, if we're talking about Baltimore for a sec, because that's kind of crazy, I still wouldn't hate them as a third place team, though, which might be a little bit more of a hot take. Where do you stand on Baltimore? Well, who do you have winning, first of all, and where do you stand on Baltimore?
I'm on the fucking Red Sox spin. Listen, I love you, and hey, listen, it's the Yankees. Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball right now, best hitter in baseball, one of the best right-handed hitters of all time. if I do say so myself. But I believe in the Red Sox roster to turn it around. And because they're sitting at 500, they have not looked good. Their roster is deep. They have a good roster. They're going to put it together and go on a run here. Granted, the Yankees have had flaws and everything like that, but I don't think Trent fucking Grisham's going to keep it up. Like I don't see that happening. I don't think Judge is going to hit 400 the whole entire year.
Mhm.
Who knows if Max Fried stays below, like looks like that, like he has this whole entire year. Will he? Probably. I think Max Fried's a great pitcher. I just believe in Boston's roster more than I believe in the Yankees. Simple as that. But I think it's going to come down to September when these two teams will face off, because I'm pretty sure they always play in September, right?
I'm sure they haven't even played each other yet. They should
like,
fucking play each other for rivalry weekend, but fuck, we'll talk about
yeah,
that later.
yeah, that's next episode. But I think the Orioles I think it will come down to that series at the end of the year when they play each other. I think it's going to be that close for the whole entire year, basically. Then I have the Orioles finishing at third, but like not close. Like I don't think they're going to turn any heads or be on anybody's tail or anything like that. I think they're going to be better than Tampa Bay. I think they're going to be better than Toronto, but I don't think they're going to come within like 6 or 7 games of either Boston or Yankees.
Yeah, I think your same points for Boston climbing. I think a lot of people could apply it to Baltimore. We're still kind of waiting to see it, but we'll see when it happens, if it happens. I still kind of optimistic on Baltimore, and I keep saying I'm not going back on my preseason predictions, and I had Baltimore 3. I think they're better than Toronto and Tampa Bay, like you said. The thing with Boston, though, like you could pick anyone apart. Like, is Chapman in that pen going to continue to be this good? Because he's been really good, and if he's not, I don't like the pen as much as I like the Yankees pen, because there's a good chance that Devin Williams can find it, and at the same time, Chapman trends down. Maybe they both stay hot. Maybe they both. Who knows how they trend? But I think there's a good chance that Devin Williams could find it. And then they have Weaver Williams 8-9. That could look great for the future. Where Boston, maybe their bullpen arms come down to earth. Mainly a Aroldis Chapman, who's been one of the better closers right now. So maybe he can come down. Maybe he comes down to earth. We'll see. They got a lot of young guys who don't have a lot of experience. We'll see how that prevails down the stretch, where the Yankees do have experience. If Grisham trends down, maybe Belly trends up. Volpe's starting to find it a little bit. If Judge doesn't hit 400 forever, well, I don't think Belly hits sub 200 forever. I don't think Volpe hits whatever, or even Austin Wells hits like 209, whatever he's hitting. I don't think that happens forever. So we'll see. And I think the trade deadline is going to answer a lot of questions too, who these teams can bring in, because both teams have holes, especially in the corner infield positions. Yankees at third, Boston at first. Pitching is always a good idea. Luis Hill comes back in maybe about a month. So we'll see. We'll start to see how these teams look as we get more in the middle of the season. I think this is a great thing to revisit maybe around the All-Star break and see like how the first half played out. But yeah, I still love my boys. I gotta love my boys.
Yeah, I don't hate that, but I guess we'll move to the other side of it. AL to NL. NL East. Mets are in first place right now. Then it goes Phils, Braves. You obviously had the Braves finishing in your preseason predictions. We just gave them a little bit of their flowers now. Mets have looked great so far this year. Phillies have been iffy, but since turned it around a little bit, winning the series against the Guardians, taking one a day against the Cardinals, sweeping the Rays. Who do you got, Smith?
Yeah, so I still have to go Atlanta because I can't go back in my preseasons. I can't, not yet, not on May 14th, But the good news that you do probably want to hear is I do think the Mets fall with that same logic. The Mets fall. I think the Phillies are going to stay good. Now, the thing with the Phils, they have to be good at the second half. If they can do it, like I don't mind them just doing enough in the first half, but then second, I mean, they've probably been, they've been better than that, but still, if they stay afloat, they're slightly over 500, or maybe they're in second place, but a few games out in the first half, but second half, they really have to fucking take off. That's when they're at their best, is when they're playing great in pivotal games, is when they're beating on good teams, when they're winning late in the season, when they're winning late in games, and they're proven to be that team that in close games, late in the game, that they can beat you. Like, they have to be able to continue to prove that they can beat you in many different ways. Second half, roll into the playoffs strong, because I do think if I do have the Braves winning, Phillies in second, Mets in third. But I do think that there's a history can repeat itself, and the Phillies can go on a deeper playoff run than Atlanta, and fuck the Mets.
I appreciate that. You already know my answer is the Philadelphia Phillies. My reasoning, though, is pretty sound. Their best player, and one of the best players in this game, Bryce Harper, one of the best hitters in this game, Bryce Harper, has not found his swing yet. They're sitting at, I think it's 7 games above 500. Let me check.
7 games, yeah.
8 games. With the win today, 8 games above 500. So their best player hasn't looked great, right? Ranger just came back from injury. First outing, not look too hot. Looked good the other day, though. Jesus Luzardo's looked like a Cy Young. Nola's going to find it. He always does at some point during the year. We don't know if it's going to be the whole year, but at some point during the year, it's like history. History repeats itself. Nola looks like the hottest pitcher in baseball or the best pitcher in baseball for like a 3-week span, and he wins every game and strikes out everybody. Wheeler is Zach Wheeler. Our bullpen is the biggest question mark for me. We have 4 arms right now. Alvarado looks good. Strahm, I'm a big fan of Strahm, huge competitor. Orion, I still have no idea what to think about Orion because some days his slider looks like the most disgusting thing on the world, and some days it just looks like a slower fastball and doesn't move at all. And then you have Jordan Romano, who's out there grunting 95% of the time, but now all of a sudden looks good. So the biggest question with me is the bullpen. Bats are always going to be there. Bohm's been hitting like 300 in the last month. He's finally turned it around. Stott, if second base position wasn't so deep in the NL, I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs for him to be making the All-Star game this year, but he's not. Turner's hitting over 300. Schwarber's leading the league in home runs. Rojas is hitting over 300 for some reason. And Kepler's finding his swing. This team is too fucking good not to come in first, in my eyes. I don't give a shit who the Mets have. I don't give a shit who the Braves have coming back. Give me the Phillies in number 1, dude. Give me them. There it is. Keep the apple in the hole and keep Acuna on the bench. Fuck them.
Yeah. So the thing with Harper is a good point. You know, he comes alive. The team's going to kind of revolve around him, right? He's the stud there. You make the same case with Soto. You make the same case with Acuna. Yeah. They come back strong and they can lead their team. The Mets have been doing it with kind of a iffy Soto. I think he's been good at times, been bad mostly. So there's a lot of peaks and valleys with him this year. So you can make that same case. I think the bullpen is going to come down to it. I'm never a fan of Edwin Diaz and their pen. I do think the Braves have a good closer. But, I'm more high on the Phillies pitching than the Mets pitching, especially for the long term. I know there's Mets fans chirping right now saying that they have like 3 Cy Young guys, right? Like that's the kind of the talking queens is between Canning, Holmes, and Senga. They're all pitching like Cy Youngs. I think David Peterson's a good complimentary piece. So whatever that they fucking have, I'm probably missing a guy too. But either way, I mean, I like what you said. I think Nola is an innings eater. He can prevail down the stretch. I really like him long term, and the Phillies have proven it more. I just roll with that team. I do have them over the Mets for that reason. But Atlanta.
So, side note. Starting pitchers, right? Mets starting pitchers versus the Phillies starting rotation. Who are you taking?
Phillies.
Okay, so am I. Because, I mean, they've both looked equally like Luzardo's looked unbelievable, like we said. And like Wheeler's Zach fucking Wheeler. And Sanchez has looked good this year. Rangers coming back, obviously, and then Nola's gonna be Nola. But then how about Taijuan Walker going into the pen nowadays? And actually he's taking it in stride and he's coming out there, he's throwing good innings for us. And I have to give him his flowers. Because I've been so hard on him, and I obviously the whole Philly fan base has, but he's eaten every single word, gone into the pen, and now he's pitching well out of it. And I got to give him props for it, you know.
Yeah, good for Taijuan. That's a very good piece in that pen, especially a guy that can give you multiple innings if you needed him to.
Mm-hmm.
So I always am a fan of long relievers. I like a guy who maybe has had a little bit of success in the starting role, but there's no room for him now, and maybe he's the odd man out. Move him to a bullpen role. Like if I was a GM in the show, like MLB The Show, like I would build a team like that. I would take an older guy who is clearly the odd man out. I don't even know if he's that old, but one of those types of guys, basically a Taijuan Walker, I stick with the pen and give me like 2-3 innings. Give me 2 at least. I think he did 2-3 the other day, last week maybe. And especially down the stretch, arms are everything. Playoffs, arms are everything. I know it's ways away, but that's a big asset on your team for a guy who can do that.
It's huge to have a guy that like your starter doesn't look good, and you can be like, hey, we can actually yank him in the fourth because we can throw him in to eat up some innings, you know. But we'll keep the conversation rolling now to the AL Central. Interesting division. We always talk about how we can't read these AL Central teams. Twins are on a 9-game win streak, sitting at 22-20. Kansas City sitting at 25-19, 3.5 games back. Guardians at 3 games back at 25-18. And Detroit leading the way, 28-15. Spin, who you got?
When it's all said and done, I like Kansas City out of this division. I really do. I think Detroit's had I forget, someone got banged up in that starting rotation. Was it a Casey Mize?
Was it Joe or Mize?
It's either Mize or Olsen, I was going to say.
Oh, is Joe still in?
But he's been trendy as of late, Jackson Joe. So, and I'm not a big Jack Flaherty fan. So as good as this rotation was at the beginning of the year, pretty much up until like this week, maybe end of last week, for as good as they've been, I don't know how sustainable it is. Minus Skubal, like you have, who is it?
It's Mize.
Okay, so that hurts you more. I think he's a little bit better than Olsen. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm giving these guys their flowers, right? Like Olsen and Job and Mize have all been like streamers. Now one of them's banged up. Maybe Job's getting a little more exposed. He is a rookie, but he's looked up and down, mostly down these days. So I don't like that. I love their offense when we talked about Javi, and you have Javi and Glaber coming in as like more of your veteran guys that have had success in this league to complement a young core. I love that. But I think Kansas City might still be the most – I like Canley in that pen. But when I talk about complete teams, I think there's a little bit more star power, and I think Kansas City might just be the most complete team. I mean, Detroit has played the best baseball thus far. That's why they're in first place. But I think when you look on paper, Kansas City is the best team. And when I talk about the staff in Detroit and how they came out the gate so hot, and now maybe they're coming back down to earth, everyone besides Skubal, I think Kansas City's the other way. I think Kansas City right now might have the best pitching staff in baseball, definitely in that division, definitely in the American League. You look at head and shoulders, everyone in that, all 5 starters in Kansas City have been proven to shove. Like they might have the best staff in baseball right now. So I'll definitely love that. Led by their shortstop Witt, of course. See what these other supporting guys can do. We haven't seen Salvi at his best yet. We haven't seen Pasquantino at his best. Those are big contributors. We'll see what they're in need of a deadline piece as well. But I like that closer former Phil Estevez. Like I think they're a very complete team. I love Kansas City. Their pitching staff, like I said, I think it's the best in that division right now. And the Tigers have pitching staff has been the talk of the town right now. No one's talking about Kansas City staff. Might just be the best. That's what's going to prevail. Love Kansas City. From pretty much take this fucking division.
Yeah, I'm torn because I want to say Kansas City because you always like to lean towards. I mean, you can actually have this conversation like, is Tariq Skubal a better pitcher than Bobby Witt is a better player? You know what I mean? And you like to lean towards the people who have those type of game-changing players. But dude, I'm going with the Tigers, man. I think AJ Hinch is he's not like people are looking for this Tigers team to have that kind of downward spiral that they're just waiting on it because it's the Detroit Tigers, because it's this. They got young guys and Kerry Carpenter, Spencer Torkelson, like they've been, and then the vets and Javi Baez, Glaber, like, and I'm not touching on a lot of people. That's just a very broad thing of it, but I like the pitching that they have over there. Tariq Skubal might be the best pitcher in baseball, and he's a dog on top of it, you know? So I'm going to roll with the Detroit Tigers, man, to come out of that division. I think that's a little bit more my heart than my head because I want them so badly to win that division, dude.
One thing I like, I was looking at the chat for a sec. One thing that you did mention that I do like, one of the difference makers is AJ Hinch. I do like him as a manager a lot, despite the controversy back in 2017 and those Astros days. But I do like it. I think AJ Hinch, ever since he's got there, right? They bought into him last year and they turned it around second half. They continue to roll strong to start this season. So that's a big one with AJ Hinch on your side. But we'll see how long that pitching staff can keep it up. It was the best, one of the best. That's probably the best staff in the AL at least to start the year. I just see there's reason to believe that they're coming down to earth. And Kansas City staff unreal right now. Kyle Bubich and the boys. We haven't even seen Reagan's at his best, and he's their ace. He's their ace, and he's probably has the worst numbers out of all 5 of them.
And Bubich has looked good. He's looked good.
Bubich, Lugo. I don't know if we give Lugo enough credit. He's been good. After I was not high on Lugo this year. Lorenzen, dude, and fucking they're good, man. Waka's look fine. Like they have a deep staff, more deep than they've been getting credit for. Because I think all eyes have been on Detroit, and just wait till Kansas City sneaks up on you and starts kicking Heine.
What about on their counterparts in the NL? Interesting division. You got the Cubbies sitting at number 1. Obviously, you've had like one of the hardest schedules in baseball. We talk about it all the time. Cardinals, red hot Cardinals sitting at number 2, and then the Brewers 2 games below, sitting at 2 games below 500 and 3. But then with the Reds, who knows what's going on with the Reds, sitting in 5th, 5 games back with 20 to 23 record.
We got fans out here, baby. But listen, I'll say this. I still like the Cubs. So I had the Cubs by preseason predictions. Again, not going back on this shit. Cubbies take it. I love that they came out the gate hot, too. That's big. You got to respect Counsell, what he's done there. But listen, I think the Cubs are the most complete team. So that's what it comes down into me. I got to look at the complete team. So even without some of their big name lefties in that staff, right? Imanaga and Steele getting banged up. Steele might be out for the fucking year, right? I don't know the deal with
He's out for the year.
They've had guys that can kind of come out and do it. Matthew Boyd's been good. And see what happens with Ben Brown and maybe Colin Ray. I don't even know who else is there. But I think there's been guys that Boyd so Tyone, he might pitch today. So those guys, and it's kind of it's interesting, right? Because it's kind of like it's not as sexy with Steele and Imanaga at the top of it. I guess Imanaga comes back. Don't know. Either way, Boyd's picked up a lot of slack. They kind of have a bad news Bears rotation right now, but these guys picking up slack. Their bullpen's interesting. So come trade deadline, I really expect them to make a move in that pen. Maybe a few moves. Honestly, that seems to be their biggest hole. Maybe some starting pitching as well. Those are their biggest holes. But man, that offense is alive. Tucker was obviously, to me, was a difference maker before the season started. This division was kind of wide open. I guess it still kind of is. But the team that made the biggest splash was them bringing in Kyle Tucker. So to me, that was a difference maker off the rip. Crazy to see St. Louis doing what they're doing right now. I'm never really a big Milwaukee guy. I still had them in second place. I'm kind of all out on Cincy right now. They've been too up and down. You can't get a gauge on them. I don't like them. I like Terry Francona, but this isn't their year. We'll see if this becomes a more interesting division than we ever give it credit for. But still, Cubs' most complete team. That's the team I have to roll with. Come trade deadline, they make moves to that starting rotation, especially the pen. Like they need arms. That's their big thing. They do that at come like deadline, and over the course of a season, they'll be really good because their offense is good and they can win in many different ways offensively. They can win high scoring games. They can win late in games. Like I like those types of teams. I still go Chicago.
I'm in on Chicago too. I think that's the easy answer. They are the most complete team, and what I didn't think of in the beginning of the year was like PCA to come out and look like the best center fielder in baseball. Like I had no idea that was going to happen. Suzuki looks great. Kyle Tucker obviously is the leader of that team. Looks unbelievable. They have they might have the best outfield in baseball, in all honesty, right now. Kyle Tucker's going to get a bag next year. Will it be with the Cubs? I don't know. I think the Cubs kind of know that. It's a little up in the air. So I am looking for them, like you said, to make some deadline moves, to get some pitching, because they know this might be make or break. They don't know if they're going to have Kyle Tucker next year. They want to go get it while they can. Brewers have looked fucking horrible this year. They've completely let me down. You lose. I guess you lose Willy Adames and don't really replace him with much. Churio might be one of the streakiest players. We have zero idea if he's going to go 5 for 5 or 0 for 5. Yelich is getting old. He's getting up there. Reese is getting old. He's getting up there. Contreras hasn't looked that great. Freddie Peralta is their ace, and Quintana just went on the IL. And St. Louis is no. I don't. I think St. Louis is hot right now, but they won't be later, kind of deal. The easy answer is the Cubs, and I think that's the correct answer.
And what about Cincy?
Because they suck. Ellie De La Cruz is the most shoved down fucking player, and besides Shohei Ohtani, I can't stand it.
He bailed my guy out of a loss yesterday, Andrew Abbott. There was 1-0, and he solo shot from De La Cruz sent into extras against the White Sox, but then they lose in extras, and like the White Sox scored like 4 runs or whatever. But yeah, and Milwaukee's
Hunter Green's on the IL too, isn't he? Like still,
yeah,
too.
I guess he's banged up.
I think, listen, is Ellie good? Yes, but we've talked about this too. It's like with fucking Ellie in the MLB. It's like shut up. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I think he's just too young, and I'm a batting average guy, so I was kind of staying away from, as a fantasy owner, staying away from him in a draft. But yeah, I mean, Milwaukee's pitching, they've had issues basically before the season started. That's not going to help you at all down the line. Good to see Freddie Peralta pitching like a true fucking ace, so he'll probably be a fucking all-star. But either way, Milwaukee, I don't know. St. Louis is going to be getting good outings from their pitching, and even with Hunter Green and Cincy, like not being there. I mean, they had some interesting, like Andrew Abbott could, or Lodolo. Like they have some sneaky guys. I don't think it's enough, though. I certainly don't think it's enough offense. I think when they were hot, they had like sneaky offense from like an Austin Hayes and a Gavin Lux, like those types of guys were kind of giving us some offense. Now that they're trending down, and with your ace hurt, their bullpen's maybe a little clusterfuck also. Yeah, I'm so out on Cincy. I kind of just don't have any hope for them. Maybe for a second you did. I don't. And then Milwaukee, yeah, like I said, well, you mentioned it too. That was a great point with Adames. They don't bring anyone really in to compensate for Adames's offensive season last year. They also lose Devin Williams. I remember kind of being out on them. Still had them as a second place team. But one of the main reasons I had Chicago shooting up and Milwaukee falling a little bit is because who Chicago brought in, and obviously it was Tucker. That was the big one. And then who Milwaukee lost. They lose their shortstop, who was probably their biggest offensive contributor last year with respects to Contreras and Churio, but Adames had a fantastic season. And then you lose your high leverage bullpen arm. Didn't really replace them with anything. So I did have them falling. The injuries in their staff don't help. Don't have St. Louis really prevailing. It's not their year. It's not their time, but maybe good for them to develop some young guys and get on a win streak, get a little hot, especially in the pitching staff. But we agree here with Chicago. And here's Lodolo. Needs to shove, needs some love. Nicky Lodolo could tell 2 homers today. But yeah, I'd love to see it.
So to the meat of it now, to probably the 2 most interesting divisions in baseball. Maybe not the 2 most interesting, but we'll get to the most interesting at the end. Start with the AL West. We've been going AL to begin. Seattle sitting in first place, just broke their losing streak. The A's in second, 1.5 games back. Houston 2 games back. Texas 2 games back. Angels, 6 games back. I think you and me are going to be conflicting here, but go ahead.
Ooh. So who do I have coming out the West?
Yeah.
At the end of it, still got Texas. I'm a Texas believer. I'm not a believer in Seattle. I think I said this last time. I think I actually had the Yankees sweep in this series. Maybe I was thinking with my heart and not my fucking anything else. But either way, I'm not a believer in Seattle. I remember saying this on Monday. I think if there's any team that can convince you, I think there's any team that can be bad after convincing you that they're good, it's Seattle. So I think they fall. Good to see the A's in this conversation, though. Crazy. Houston, you still have to believe in. I mean, I still think they're a well-oiled machine despite having new faces. I still think the culture there and whatever. I think there's enough in Houston. But Texas, man, I look how Evaldi's pitching. DeGrom, stay healthy because he's a stud when he is. Tyler Mahle, holy shit. Jack Leiter threw a good game yesterday. If he can be, they don't need much out of Jack Leiter. If he can pitch well and just be fine, he looked good before going on the IL, and he looked good yesterday. So he probably has the same amount of good starts as bad starts. And when he's been good, I think he's been great. So really good for Jack Leiter to be a four guy. They don't need him to be anything crazy. Maybe we look at him too high because he was like a first round pick or whatever. Just be a 4 guy with Tyler Mahle doing his thing and Evaldi and DeGrom at the top. Love that rotation. They have to figure out that bullpen a little bit more. Seager's hurt, so that sucks. But listen, I still think there's enough. We haven't seen the best out of Semien yet. That's going to be a huge contributor to the offense, especially with Seager going down. Josh Jung's been fine. Maybe Jake Berger getting sent down. Who did? Oh, Josh Jung. Maybe 2 or 1 or 2. He did, though. And then Berger getting sent down to AAA maybe is what he needed, right? When he comes back up, because he will come back up. He'll figure it out. They get some good things from like some guys that no one talks about. Josh Smith has been a fucking dude. Like he plays everywhere. Then you talked about your boy Langford. They brought up Evan Carter. Jock Peterson has to figure it out. So there are pieces there. There's a lot of pieces. Adolis I don't think we see the best out of Adolis. When the main guys, we can start to see the best out of the main guys. The rest of the guys could fill in. There's a whole lot there. And before the season started, I thought this was the most complete team in the division. I certainly thought it was the best offense 1 through 9 in maybe the American League, maybe baseball, to be honest with you. 1 through 9 on paper looked really good for them entering the season. Hasn't totally panned out, and that's why they're in 4th place and only 1 game over. But when it does figure itself out, and they're only 2 games back in 4th place, so when it does start to figure themselves out, Seattle falls, A's don't sustain this, and then I think that they can really shoot up. Love Texas for the long term.
So we actually are in agreement. I'm on the Rangers too, but it's solely for one reason. I think the rosters hitting wise in the whole division are pretty like right now, at least. Like I do agree. I think the Rangers have the most pieces, but with how they're performing right now, it's very even. 1, 2, 3, 4. Astros have some guys performing. A's have some guys performing. Mariners obviously have some guys. Texas really hasn't. But Texas pitching starting 5 is so much better than all other 4 of the people in that division. It's unbelievable. The Framber hasn't looked his best. They only really have Hunter Brown. I think Gusto or Blanco or whoever it was for the Astros started off hot, has looked like shit as of recent. A's don't really have a guy. Mariners, it's really just Wu this year, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Castillo has looked good. I'm not really.
They got some notables banged up, but right now I think their ace is Wu. I would give Wu.
Yeah, so like the pitching solely for the Rangers is going to win them this division. You just touched on everybody there. Leiter looked lights out the other night. DeGrom is Jacob fucking DeGrom, and Evaldi's looked unbelievable. And Trevor Molly, who knew what he was going to do. But do I think the bats are going to wake up? I don't know if Jake Berger is going to come back and look better. Maybe he'll just be another fucking Daniel Vogelbach. Yeah, Jake Berger and Danny fucking Burgers. But Adolis has looked like shit. Jock Peterson obviously hasn't looked good. Seager's banged up. Once these guys all get it together, and if they get it together at the right time, this team's going to be scary come October, come the playoffs. Because they do. They have the best team top to bottom on paper.
I agree with you. You want to believe in Seattle's pitching for the long term. Maybe, I don't know the status on Gilbert or a Kirby. Those are some notables. Bryce Miller hasn't been his best. But if those guys come back healthy, come back strong, turn their season around like a Castillo or a Bryce Miller, then yeah, maybe you start to see this team, because pitching is pivotal. But again, you said this the other day. Polanco, I don't think either of us see him doing this for the whole season. Cal Riley could be a beast. J-Rod could turn around. But if J-Rod can be a stud, because he's known for slow starts, and if he does pick it up and be a stud, and Cal Riley stays a stud, I still don't think it's enough offensively. So I'm kind of out on them, even though their pitching staff, when healthy, could be the best. The A's don't have enough, right? And then Houston, we'll see if Framber could do it. If it's Framber and Brown, they do have Hader in that pen. You kind of like to see those types of pieces. You know, you have a couple horses at the top and a good bullpen. That's good for the postseason. But yeah, I think we're both in agreement here. Texas is the most well-rounded on paper, best staff right now in that division, at least. They got to figure out their pen. So we'll see what the trade deadline does for them. That's another team that is pretty evident what they need at the deadline. But we'll see how they roll.
You think about like the Astros, because the Astros still technically in that division are kind of the team to beat. Put some respect on the Burger, man. He's in AAA right now, Liebendag. No. But anyway, he like Jordan hasn't looked good at all. It's just been a really down year for him. Altuve's getting up there in years. Who's the first baseman? Christian Walker. He hasn't been that good either. He's sitting around like right around 210 as well. So the Astros are really, and I mean, I know the Mariners are up there right now, at least they're hot. I mean, not as of now, but I just don't think the A's have enough. They're too young, maybe in a couple years. But I think it's going to be between the Astros and the Rangers, and I'm going to go with the Rangers.
I agree with you. I had Rangers, Astros both making the playoffs this year for my preseason predictions. Not going back. Not going back.
All right, fine. NL West now.
Should we just say it at the same time?
Golden takes on the line for me, too.
Oh.
Padres are a half game back. But Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Arizona, and then Rockies, who might be the worst team in baseball like ever. But all right, you want to say it at the same time?
Yeah, who we have?
Yeah. All right,
Yeah,
ready? 3, 2, 1. Padres.
Dodgers. Oh!
You have the Padres as well.
No, I said Dodgers.
I think you said Padres.
No, I don't have the Padres making the playoffs.
I think you're out of your fucking mind. You just not even have them making the playoffs, dude. They have with between C's, Pavetta, and King at the top three of their starting rotation. And then with the lineup that they have, Tatis is playing like probably the best player in baseball right now, or one of the best player in baseball right now. Manny hasn't really got it going this year that much yet. He's still looked good, but he's not the Manny that we've known to love. But I'm a huge fan of pitching. And with that three-headed monster, I think it's going to win them a lot of games, win them a lot of series. And I've talked about my concerns with obviously the Dodgers are the deepest team in baseball. They have everybody, they have multiple people at multiple positions. But if their top guys can't stay healthy, especially in the rotation, that is a fucking problem.
Yeah, I like the Dodgers enough to win this division, even win 100 games, win this division, and then the playoffs are a different story, right? That was my take early in even when they weren't hurt before the season started. Like, I expect them to win 100-plus games, win this division, and then, yeah, everyone's going to kill you in the playoffs. And
sorry, can I say something real quick? What the fuck am I saying? Manny's hitting 331 this year. Never mind. Manny's been unbelievable.
Oh, shit. But yeah, that's the expectations for the Dodgers to do those things. And then come playoffs, like fucking anything could happen. And maybe I'm not even high on them for the playoffs. But for the regular season, I expect them to take care of business. However, I love Arizona too. So again,
I think Arizona can come in like third, but not to compete for first, I don't think.
Yeah, not to compete for first. Like, I have the Dodgers probably being like maybe the only team to win 100 games this year.
But do you think they're going to outlast the Padres, the Diamondbacks?
I do.
Wow.
I think the Diamondbacks do. Do you think the Diamondbacks are a playoff team this year?
How many make it? 6, right?
Yeah, there's 6.
Phillies, Mets, Cubs.
Okay. So maybe you do.
Dodgers, shit, maybe. Like, I think the Giants trend down, in all honesty. Yeah, I don't think the Giants keep up what they're doing. Maybe I do have them on the cusp. It's between the Braves or the Diamondbacks for me, in all honesty. I don't think there's 2 teams coming out of the Central. I think there's 1 team coming out of the Central. Damn. That is a good question. I'm going to have to think about that.
Yeah, stew on that, because this is my reasoning for this. And this was my reason before the season started when I constructed my predictions. I do have Arizona making the playoffs. I think they're a playoff team. And if that's the case, who's the odd man out? Because it can only be 6. I do have the Braves still making the playoffs with the Phillies and Mets. I do have the Cubs in the Central and only 1 Central team. The Dodgers are here, and I have Arizona being a second-place team. Therefore, someone has to be the odd man out, and that would be the Padres. The reason being, especially, Padres don't know how to win. This year they do. That's so true. But I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to put my eggs in the basket of a team that doesn't have a World Series ring, doesn't have a World Series since they haven't been there since '98. I'm not going to put my eggs in that basket of an organization that hasn't really done much to make you fucking believe in them. The Padres are a team, and at least in our lifetime, I've always said this about the Padres. Even when you think they're going to be good, they're bad. And I've been riding that way for a while now, and it pretty much is right more times than not. It's only been wrong like the one time when the Phillies beat them in like 2022.
Well, they had Soto that year too, so that was a little different.
Sure, but I guess they were supposed to be good, and they did go on a run, so I give them that. But but generally speaking, like 99% of the time, when the Padres are supposed to be good, they're still bad because they're a bad organization. I'd rather bet on some of these other teams, like a sneaky Arizona team that has proven they won a pennant 2 years ago. I'd rather do that. At least they have a ring to show for in their lifetime, in their history. And not to mention, you talk about pitching with the big 3 in Arizona. I would argue that there's a big 4 or you talk about the big 3 in San Diego. I'd argue there's a big 4 in Arizona. I love Burns had a good last outing. He started out cold. When he gets going, I mean, let's look at that. Let's look at Gallen over the course of a full season. He's looked good lately. Love Brendan Pafat. I think he's been their guy so far this year, and I still like Merrill Kelly. I like that. I think what the Padres have in their pen is very special. That's pivotal. Arizona has to figure out their pen. There's some injuries, but when these guys come back, you like to believe in it. And I still think there's enough. I like the offense, though. I think the offenses can compete, but if it comes down to, maybe I give the upper edge to Arizona's offense. Maybe not in the terms of spark, because Padres, one thing that they can do is have a lot of spark and a lot of pizzazz and like showmanship and shit like that. Maybe Arizona's more scrappy. But I like Arizona long term. I still have them as a second place team.
Listen, I like the Snakes. I'm a fan of the Snakes. Snakes alive. I'm not a fan of the Snakes because of what they did to the Phillies. They can still go fuck themselves for that. But I like the three-headed monster that they have. You mentioned the pen for the Padres. I'm a big fan of the pen for the Padres. But then, like, you think of like people I didn't even note on hitting for the Padres. Jackson Merrill's looked unbelievable since coming back from his injury. He's in the 4. I know he hasn't played many games. He still looks good. Xavier Bogarts, whatever the fuck his name is, he's going to start to come around and be kind of more of a role player than a star anymore. Like when they first signed him, it was a three-headed monster. Now he's kind of taking a little back seat. He can become that role player. And then talk about other guys who have come. Like Gavin Sheets has looked good for them this year. He's hit 300. He's a role player, though, not playing every day. He's kind of a platoon guy. Pivetta hasn't – I know he's had like 2 kind of bad outings, rising his ERA. It's over 3 now. But King, Season, Pivetta, I've always been I've been a Pivetta fan since for like however long. I draft him a lot. I'm a big fan of him. I like what Dylan Cease is doing, even though he hasn't looked that great. He's had a 4.6 ERA right now. Michael King's looked probably the best at sitting below sub-3 or most consistent, I guess you could say. Pavetta's looked unbelievable. But I believe in the Padres, and I hate saying it because I'm not a big fan of Manny. I don't like the way Manny plays. Tatis is electric, of course, but it's kind of my hot take of the year. I'm kind of I'm rolling with the Padres to beat out the Dodgers at the end there. Once again, it's probably idiotic because you look at the Dodgers, Mookie, Freddie Freeman's going to hit over 300 and be one of the best players in baseball, and then they have fucking Shohei. So, like, who knows? Well, yeah. I'm just hoping the Dodgers pitching does not hold up and these injuries keep plaguing them, and Kershaw's fucking starting for him this week.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. So,
but hey, that's why it's a hot take for a reason. And maybe my hot take was the Padres to miss the playoffs after a good start. But again, I still do it. How about this, though, before we move on? I think this came in when we were talking about our potential playoff teams in the NL. Mine are set because I'm not going back on my preseason shit. If you're still stewing on yours, but I guess there's some love for the Brew Crew, maybe sneaking into a playoff, being a wild card spot. I'm not in it.
I guess he missed what we were saying earlier, but like they've been super lackluster this year, and with the loss at shortstop and Adames and not really replacing him with a whole lot. Like Tarang's looked good at second. We talked about how up and down Churio is. We don't know if he's going 0 for 5 or 5 for 5. I mean, we said this already, but like Reese is getting up there in age, and so is Yelly, even though they're contributing a little bit. Contreras hasn't looked that great. And then, like, Peralta's looked like an ace. Quintana just goes on the IL, though. And the rest of that, they have zero idea what they're doing with the rest of that staff. And so I was high on the Brewers before. Like, I had them winning that division. Like, it was kind of my long shot. I didn't. But, yeah, I'm not too high on the Brewers.
Yeah, I don't think they did a good enough job replacing Devin Williams and Adames, or at least compensating for it. And then their pitching staff's too much of a clusterfuck for me to put them in the conversation for a playoff team right now. Yeah. All right, should we move on to our next topic of discussion? Because yesterday there was a lot of good baseball being played yesterday, a lot of walk-offs. So it was a great day for baseball, but it was a really good day for baseball because Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, the hit king, I don't even know what the verbiage is here. He's like
he's unbanned. He's off the MLB like banned list, basically.
Which should be a fucking holiday. It should be a holiday.
I know.
This is huge.
If you thought he should be on the banned list, then actually full offense, you're a fucking idiot. I can't believe there are people who have been like he doesn't deserve to be on the list. Did anybody watch this? We didn't even watch him play. We just saw highlights. My dad talks about him like he's God himself.
That is my dad.
He's like, dude, this guy hustled every single play. He's like, he was the hardest the hardest playing player in baseball. I love watching videos of this guy running people over and just like hustling out every play. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And the fact that the MLB waited till he was dead, I mean, that is fucked up. That he didn't get to live and see this moment and he called it. I'm pretty sure he called it. Like when he was alive, he said they are going to wait till I am dead to put me in the Hall of Fame. And that might be misinformation. I don't know if that's true. I think I heard it. But to me, it's horseshit. Do you have that quote, or do you want me to just read it real quick?
Yeah, I didn't put it in.
Oh, here, I'll read it. Because this was I thought it was one of the best things I've read about this whole thing. But this came from Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, quote retweeted about an article released by one of his colleagues. I don't know the name, but history is history. The game is the game. The museum is the museum. Tell the story, the whole story, with all the best players and best teams and best tales, no matter how colorful, criminal, or regrettable. That sums it up. That just sums up the whole thing. Baseball is baseball. I don't give a shit what happened. He's one of the best players to ever play the game. And guess what? He was betting on himself. He didn't bet against the fucking team. That's my 2 cents spin. That's you.
No, I think, we definitely agree. There's some people that have other things to say about it. But I do think it's ridiculous. I mean, if the people that have to say like, oh no, he still broke this fucking rule, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know, get over yourself a little bit.
Dude, we're paying college players now to like go, you know what I mean? It's, I don't know if that correlates at all, but like, it's still like it's become such a different world now that it's nuts to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. And I think, he might've said the whole, like, they're going to wait for him to pass before they do something like this. He might've said that. I think there's just been, if it wasn't him, then it was speculated by everybody. It's just something I think that we've probably talked about, like, which just makes sense. I mean, he had to have died. I mean, you're not on, I don't know, you're dead longer than you're alive, I guess, technically. So he was bound to get in at some point. But now this doesn't mean that he's in. Right now he's just
they still have to vote him in.
Yeah, so he's just eligible to be on the ballot. So this will be talked about even longer than when it is time to vote, and see how these sports writers vote this guy. I mean, in my mind, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, and he should have already been in. But yeah, you're right. It's ridiculous that he has to die for this to happen. Because you want to see him give a speech. You want to see him be there. He's such a great ambassador for the game, and he talks hitting like there's no other. The thing that pisses me off the most is he's been around the game. So if he was banned from baseball, that's not really it. This is what's fucked up. So whether you agree with Pete Rose, say he does get in, and whether you agree with it or not, whether you agree with the reinstatement or not, the thing that pisses me off is I would just say, be consistent with your take, because he wasn't really banned. He was banned to where, unless MLB wanted something out of it. You know what I mean? If they wanted a money grab, if they wanted something to talk about, if they wanted anything, he's in his like bat or whatever is in the Hall of Fame. He has like maybe like stuff in the Hall of Fame for his records. Like that shit is there. He just doesn't have a plaque because he broke a fucking golden rule. Well, fuck that. So he wasn't like banned. They would still use like the Red Stadium is on Pete Rose Way. Like there's a street that leads to that stadium. His number might be retired there. Don't quote me on that. But he might be retired there. When they would honor like some legends at certain points of it, they did it in Philly when they honored the 1980 team one year, a few years ago. Pete Rose was there. They did it when they were honoring like some of the greatest Reds ever, and they did that at one of the All-Star games. Pete Rose was there when they needed him for shit, or if they want to put stuff in the Hall of Fame, they will use his shit. But oh no, but it's still like blackballed or whatever. It's like, well, then that's fucking stupid. If he's banned, and never talk about him, and that's it. But if you're gonna use his stuff when it benefits you, MLB, that's when it gets fucked up. And that's why, to me, it's like, if you're not on the side of him getting reinstated, fine, you can have your opinion, but you have to at least say that's kind of fucking bullshit that they would only use it for their own good. And the fact that they did use it for their own good makes it worse, that now you can, makes it worse on the people that advocate against him.
Yeah, you make an extremely good point there, because it's once again the MLB just being hypocritical in a sense. like you think about like A-Rod, who will never get into the Hall of Fame because of steroids, right? They're not going to put him in because the speculation that he was ever on roids and stuff like that, right?
I
And
wouldn't say never, but yeah.
yeah, well, he should, in my eyes, A-Rod's a first ballot Hall of Famer. No questions asked. In my eyes, I think he should be in already. But yet he's still on doing pregame and postgame for these MLB teams because people want to hear him talk. He was one of the legends of the game. People want to hear him talk. The MLB wants to use him to expand the game. But like also now I touched a little bit on the steroids thing, but does this pave the way now like for Bonds and McGuire? Do
Yeah, that's
they
a good
have to
point.
now be talked about?
That is a good point. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think the A-Rod thing is a little different because he wasn't really banned from baseball. So if he's going to come out and
Yeah.
do shit, that's one thing. Like Pete's kind of is a unique case because he was like fucking shunned. But like in terms of the steroid guys, now I think we agree. Like I'm with you. I'm at a point right now. I wasn't always let the steroid guys in. I'm at a point probably over the past few years now. I'm just like fucking just let them in. But I think the worry the worry is at least this is me saying this. Like this is me trying to justify it. And I don't know if MLB's ever said this, but they're not very transparent. But to me trying to justify it is if you let them in, does it open doors for other players, current players, to say, oh, you let these steroid guys in, then maybe I can be a little bit more. There's more leeway to me doing steroids now, so I could do steroids if I get popped. Then I serve my suspension time, but at least I had a good season. Like at least I had a good season or something like that. With it, and doesn't just because you do steroids doesn't mean you have a good season, by the way. But maybe they think that, so maybe they think they have a little leeway there or something where MLB wants to make sure that, hey, if you do this, like it's a really bad thing, and they want to kind of cover their ass in a sense. So my thing is, you let the guys in, and then you really crack down on the steroids. You say, hey, these guys were the greatest players of their generation, of their era, called the steroid era, by the way. They weren't the only ones doing it. They were just the good ones who were doing it. So there was bad guys doing steroids, and
like Jose Canseco was fucking juiced up. Nobody really gives a shit.
Yeah, nobody wants to put him in the Hall of Fame discussion, right? Like, so it was a lot of it was like not everyone was juicing. I also am not. If you're going to be against the steroid guys, if that same logic, are you for the guys who were pretty good in that era but don't have Hall of Fame numbers, but you give them the upper edge because they never got popped? Do you do that? I don't think that's fair either. So it's like now it becomes hairy. I think in the steroid era, now granted, not everybody was doing it. There was a lot of good guys to come out of it that never got caught, right? Like Jim Thome and shit. But like if a lot in that era, a lot of it was, hey, our roided up guy beat your roided up guy, but our roided up guy is Barry Bonds, and your roided up guy is fucking Johnny Dickhead from Arkansas. No one cares about Johnny Dickhead, right? But Bonds is the one who gets the shit into the stick. So basically, in every era, every generation, there's going to be like the 4, 5, 6 dudes who are going to stand out among everyone. And in the steroid era, those guys were doing steroids. They're still the 5 to 6 best dudes from that era to come out of it. I think they have to be honored in that type of way. But then MLB does have to kind of crack down and make sure that it doesn't set a precedence for the current guys in the future.
I think you bring up a good point because now people could kind of argue like, hey, this guy's in the Hall of Fame and he openly did steroids. Why am I getting suspended? Why am I getting suspended for this? You know what I mean? So it's iffy in a sense. It is iffy, but here's my question. When they talk about who hit the most home runs in a single season, it's still it's Bonds, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's Barry fucking Bonds. Like they still say, hey, it's Barry Bonds and not, oh, hey, he did steroids and stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's like who hit the most home runs in a single season? Barry Bonds. Maybe some people keep that asterisk next to it because I think most people do.
Yeah.
But I think you make a very good point in saying now this opens up the doors for these people like Jerks and Profar who just got popped for steroids, being like, hey, why is he in the Hall of Fame who opened and he did steroids? Nobody's questioning it. Like everybody knows it, but I did it and I'm getting suspended. So I do agree with you in that sense. It's a very thin, fine line they have to walk in a sense.
Yeah, and that's just me. Like, I don't even know if that's their worry or what. Maybe they're just old school and they want to be traditional, and I don't know, maybe someone's scared. Either way, there's going to be controversy. There's going to be people that, you know what I mean? Same thing with Pete Rose right now. Like, there's going to be two sides to it. But Yeah, so that's just kind of like me just trying to figure out a way to justify this shit in terms of the steroid guys. But yeah, I mean, we always come back to it's still hard enough to hit it. But I think you got to crack down on it. That was the steroid era. Leave it at that. But also, there's great guys to come out of that era that should be like I bet you Barry Bonds' bat that he broke a record with is in the Hall of Fame. So they'll use shit for those reasons, but not to when it's actually time to honor these legends. They'll probably be dead too, by the time that they're allowed in.
It will happen because I think it's been a trend. Like people are starting to call out the MLB for this shit. Like wait until people die who did something maybe a little shady, and now they're like, hey, they're dead. Let's honor them. It's like we want to see these guys, like you said, make the speeches. We want to see these guys get their flowers in real time.
Yeah, it's real weird, and it kind of is that it creates that fine line. We'll see how it goes. The whole Hall of Fame thing has been kind of shitty to begin with. I mean, there's a lot of we don't have to. I mean, that could be another topic. But I have a lot of thoughts on the Hall of Fame, the way that they vote, the way that it operates. I think it's all kind of stupid. But yeah, with the steroid guys, I'm at a point. Let them in. I mean, the guy with like the most Cy Youngs ever, and Roger Clemens isn't in. The guy with the most home runs ever, Barry Bonds, isn't in. Now, for different reasons, Pete Rose, the guy with the most hits ever, he's not in yet. But this could be a start of something. We'll see what happens. But yeah, again, leave the steroid era. Set a precedence that's just the steroid era. And this day and age, that way it doesn't bleed over till now. Because I'm still, you don't want to see that. But either way, maybe some people do. Some people really advocate for the steroid era. Yeah. They said it like saved baseball and shit. But I think this day and age, there's really no reason with the analytics, with how good athletes just are. I don't know if there's. I know everybody wants the upper edge, and these guys are competitors, but I don't know if in this day and age there's even a reason to do it. Like if the reason is to get an upper edge and that's why they did steroids, well, the reason this day and age to get the upper edge would it be to like fucking with the advanced analytics and the technology that we have now, use that to your advantage, do it the legal way, and just be naturally, just be all natural, baby.
But we kind of saw this a little bit because if people think steroids is cheating, which in a sense it kind of is, it's giving you an advantage over the other players around. Not that every single person was doing it back then, but like with the Astros and their cheating scandal.
Yeah.
That's something come when these guys start to retire. Say Jose Altuve gets his name on the ballot, and it's just, it's like brushed aside. AJ Hinch will never be looked at the same because he was the manager. It's things you have to keep in mind. Like, and people wanted to murder those Astros players. Like they hated every single last one of them.
Yeah, I do think Altuve. I think Altuve is trending on a Hall of Fame pace. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how close he is to I don't know how old he is or how close he is to 3,000 hits, but that would be a big thing for him. And I think he probably will get in if he can continue what he's doing. And then that's going to be its own controversy, right? Oh, he was cheating, and we're talking about cheating in baseball. That's going to be a whole another clusterfuck, and that's actually going to be, in my opinion, even worse than the steroid guys because there's not a whole era of what the Astros did. That was just
one team.
It was one team for what 1 to 3 years or whatever. It could have been 17 to 19 circa. But like either way, that wasn't a whole era. So that even gets a little bit more hairy when you bring up Altuve and those Astros. That's going to be a whole nother thing. But maybe, just maybe by then, Pete Rose would have gotten in. Maybe that opens doors for the steroid guys. They start to, lower their guard a little bit on them. And then maybe by then Altuve's, and I don't know.
We'll see, Spin.
We'll see. That was a long episode of a lot of things around the league, news and opinions. We love to be opinionated on the show. I like that. But we will, Friday?
Friday, back in the evening again. Last show in the evening.
That's our last evening show before we go back to the mornings. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We have what's it called? Rivalry weekend to talk about, which has got a stupid. It's just a normal weekend.
We'll get into it.
Don't let anyone fool you. Rivalry weekend. Put an asterisk next to that fucking slogan. But we'll talk about that and more on Friday. Mike Schmidt.